Hi, it's Tara O'Connell with you. Now this week I had a great script written. I was going to talk to you about the mindset for success. I had some anecdotes and some stories. And as I've just stood here right now in this moment, I have had a moment where I thought, you know what? I think I'll just share my story with you in the hope that my story will help you on those days where you might not want to keep going. Those days where you have that voice in your head that starts niggling away. Those days where bad things happen. I really hope that by telling my story, by sharing my story, that it helps you to keep moving on those days when you simply just want to give up. So here we go, let's get into it. It's simply a story of my own journey, my most recent journey, and how self-belief and determination have been the key to my business success and my personal success in terms of moving forward. 4 years ago, I was very happy. I was married. I was just having a baby. I had inherited two beautiful stepdaughters, and I had my son Jacob, who was 11 at the time. Happiest girl in the world. I had a 3-story home that I'd paid for myself. I worked for many years as a CEO. I worked very hard, and financially I was in a pretty good space. So you know when you're at the top of your highest of high happiness, and then something happens in a split second that takes it all away from you. So what happened for me was that I had Alexander, who was 3 months old at the time. I knew that my husband at the time had some fairly severe mental illness issues. He suffers bipolar and post-traumatic stress disorder and a couple of other things, but he had been very well managed. So one sunny Friday in July, I went out for lunch with my aunt. I had baby Alex with me. He was 3 months old. And then on the way home, I'd heard from my husband through the day, you know, what would you like for dinner? What time will you be home? I picked up my eldest son from school. I got home, and when I pulled up out the front, I just felt things weren't right. As we got to the front door, my eldest son went in first and started yelling, "Mum, we've been robbed, we've been robbed." It only took me a moment to realize that we hadn't been robbed. My husband had actually moved out while I was at lunch. He had quite literally backed up a truck and moved out. So here I am standing there in my home with a 3-month-old baby, and my whole world, literally, I felt it move. The foundations that I felt I had were gone. So around 6 weeks after the initial event had happened, my baby actually got quite sick. Alex was very sick. He was rushed in an ambulance to hospital. And the midwives at that hospital were asking me how many wet nappies he'd had. They were trying to identify if he was hydrated, if he was getting enough fluid. I had no idea. Like at this point, you could have wiped the floor with me. So you can judge me all you like. I've certainly judged myself enough over this, but I had no idea. And at that point in time, I started thinking, surely there's an app for this. I need some way to get through the day. I'm struggling here, and I need something just to make my life a little bit easier. Now, after I'd had my first son 11 years earlier, I suffered severe postnatal depression. And one of the ways I felt that I was able to cope each day was to write everything down. I had spreadsheets and graphs and all sorts of things happening. So 11 years on, I assumed there'd be an app that did all of those things in one app. Long story short, there wasn't. There were loads of apps that did loads of stuff. And of course, now 4 years on, there are loads of apps. But at the point in time, there wasn't. And so it was during that point in the hospital that I decided I was going to create an app, because there was going to be, apart from my baby, there was going to be something good to come from this crap situation. And it was crap, let's face it. Now, I had no money. When I say I had no money, my elderly aunts who are pensioners were paying for my nappies for the baby. I had no money. My ex-husband had literally emptied my bank accounts. He'd left me with no income. I was forced to sell my home. I lost my home. I lost everything. I had no money. Not only did I have no money, I had and still have the technical skills that would fit on the outside of a corn kernel. So I had no money, I had no tech skills, but I had determination and I had self-belief, and I was bloody well going to build this app if it killed me. The universe delivered. First, they delivered a silent partner who assisted with finance, who assisted with graphic design, and that was Marty Adnam from Out of the Square, and I will forever be thankful to him. So it was 10 months to the day since that day I'd walked into an empty house that my app was launched. By that point in time, I was back. I had my self-belief back. I knew that that one moment, that horrible experience, it didn't define me. I was also reading this week an interview with Turia Pitt. Now, for those of you in Australia, you would have heard of Turia. She was a burns victim. In fact, her accident occurred around the same time that I went through my painful experience. But she said something in this interview that has really stuck with me. Now, Turia has had over 200 surgeries. She had burns to 65% of her body. This one thing that she said in this interview, I think will stay with me for the rest of my life. She said that fire was 5 seconds of my life. And I don't want that 5 seconds to tell me who I am. So if I can create an app that has now been downloaded on every continent on earth in 15 languages with no money, no tech skills, no roof over my head, and a 3-month-old baby on my own, you can do absolutely anything that you want to do too. You just need to make sure, firstly, you focus on what you want. You know with every single ounce of your being that you're going to do it, that you're going to succeed. Put some rituals in place if you need. I don't mind if it's lipstick on the mirror in the bathroom, or it's notes inside your diary, or it's a screensaver, whatever works for you. Put those rituals in front of you every single day. I do all 3 of those things, by the way. Put it in front of you every single day so that when that stupid voice inside your head comes in and tries to tell you you can't, you say, go away, have a biscuit and a cup of tea and go and bother someone else. What I will say though, is that no matter how much self-belief and determination you have, you still need to surround yourself with the right people. You need to equip yourself with the skills and the knowledge in whatever area it is that you're pursuing. Create those daily rituals and be savvy. And you know, I always say awareness is the first step to change. So if you can get super aware on exactly what the gaps are for you to achieve your goals, then that's the first step to success. But failure is not an option. You're not going to fail at this thing. You are going to succeed as well. So let's get started today, get those rituals in place, and come and tell me all about what projects you're working on, what businesses you're working on, what personal goals you're working on, because my story needs to mean something. Yes, I created an app and I now have 6 steps to shine online, and the doors are open until the end of January on that one, by the way. Yes, I've created these programs, but they need to mean more than that. So if my story or even a tiny element of this helps you or encourages you, then you've made my day. So thank you for indulging with me to share my story with you today. I hope that it has helped even one person out there. If you feel like this would be beneficial for other people, then please share. Otherwise, I will see you next week when we'll be back on schedule. Bye for now.